Hello fellow Clashers, my name is Kairos Time, and if you're watching this video, it's because you want to know what the CLR is, how it works out, or you want to compete and you want to make sure you understand all of the rules. If that is you, and you want to make sure you understand all the rules, I highly recommend watching all of this video. It's not going to be super entertaining like a lot of my videos are. It's going to be more nitty-gritty details explaining all of the rules so to make sure that you don't get disqualified and you know what you're doing when it comes to competing in here. Now in this video, we're going to be talking about what the CLR is. We're also going to be explaining all of the rules and what you need to do to get into the CLR. First of all, what is the CLR? The CLR is a massive clan versus clan tournament, the Clan Royale League. And it sounds epic because it is truly epic. Basically, now this is the third season if you're watching this video at the right time. And for these first 16 weeks, we're going to be having qualifiers and the Royale 16. I'm going to be explaining what both of those are later on, and then during the last 3 weeks we have playoffs, which is going to be a series of really intense clan versus clan matches. Some of the biggest, best, and strongest clans in the world come here to compete for prizes, fame, glory, and bragging rights. My team's one of them, so that's what we're doing here. Now, all of this could not be possible without some type of funding, especially all the prizes and things like that. So make sure you go to that link down there, the matcherino.com, and support the Clan Royale League. Using this link, this little password right here, you can actually get matcherino.com to donate $1 to the Clan Royale League. Now, if nobody does that, it's not a big deal. If 1 or 2 people do it, not a big deal. But if everybody that's watching this video goes and does that right now, it's going to help boost that prize pool up there and will be a huge help. So please go and do so. Now let's talk about the 3 weekly qualifiers are. It's exactly what it is. We're trying to find the best teams to be able to compete in the Royale 16 to eventually make it into the playoffs. So this is how this works out. On every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have 3 different qualifiers at various time frames to try and help people from around the world be able to compete at different times. Now, you can actually join any team can actually join all 3 qualifiers. So that's important. If you want the biggest chances, get a team together that can come to all 3. It starts out with 64 teams, and we bring it all down to the very finals in 7 rounds where you got one clan versus another clan or team versus team down to that last 7th round or series. Now it's an open deck format. Any deck works. You can switch it up as many times as you want, and you should use that to your advantage. Top 2 teams move on. So the 2 that make it to the finals end up moving on for a chance to get into the Royale 16. That being said, the top team actually wins $30 in gift cards, which is pretty fantastic. In the Royale 16, before it starts out, the top 6 qualifier teams, the top and the second team from each of the 3 qualifiers, face off against the 6 bottom teams that are already in the Royale 16 for a chance to stay into the Royale 16. If those bottom 6 people that are already on the Royale 16 get knocked out, they're gone, and one of those qualifying teams gets put into it, which is really intense. High stakes. This happens Saturday at 10 a.m. PST. Make sure that you're watching that live if you can. There's going to be some seriously high skill gameplay going on. You can check right there in the link on Twitch TV Clash Royale League. That's where you want to do that. You can also watch it afterwards if you miss it. Now they're going to take the 16 proven teams, put it in a bracket, and they're going to have a 1 ban and 1 draft per player versus player match. I'll explain more about how that works later on. The top team wins $75, and then they'll also have chances to be able to compete in the playoffs later on at the end of the season. So in the playoffs, same format as the Royale 16, the last 3 weeks of Season 3. This is when it all comes down to it. No qualifiers or anything like that. We're taking the best of the best, pitting them up against each other, and showing it all in 3 weeks. Now, it's also the same time as well, unless that changes. We'll see. Semifinals. In order to, this is actually changed, but the team must have 4 wins in comparison to just 3 wins in the qualifiers and the Royale 16. That means that 3 players must win, and one of those 3 players has to win twice. Similar to the finals, the team must have 6 wins. That means that all 3 players on each team, or each 3 competitors, have to win twice. The one exception is because this is a double elimination tournament, you have a winner's bracket and a loser's bracket. The team on the winner's bracket is actually going to have a 1-point advantage, so they only have to get 5 wins, whereas the team on the winners or the losers bracket has to get 6 wins in order to win the entire thing. Very intense, super fun, kind of ruthless actually. They're trying to find the best players in the game, and they're making it so that you have to have a team of solid people. Now let's talk a little bit about the rules behind the Royale Trio, or behind the Clan Royale League. For Season 3, they're doing a Royale Trio Conquest format. That means that you, for each team, can have 3 competitors and 2 subs. The subs are important. We're going to talk about them later. For now, the most important thing you need to know about is the 3 competitors, because the 3 competitors are going to determine whether or not your team moves on or not. So it's going to be best of 5 between the 2 teams. If your team wins 3 times, that's a victory. But here's the catch. Each of the 3 competitors must win. And that means that if you have one person that's not lifting up the team, then you're out of there. Now, each competitor plays until they win, or they lose 3 times. If they lose 3 times, that means that they're out and your team is out. So make sure you choose your competitors very carefully. Now, players can play in any order. It doesn't have to be all at the same time. You can do it one at a time. See what kind of decks your opponents are going to be playing and use that to your advantage. Adapt to whatever kind of play style they have, and be coaching. Be with your team. If you can get onto like a Discord server where you guys can have a voice chat, you're going to have a big advantage over people that are just trying to type on their phone or send text messages or something, you know, writing on stone tablets. Now, subs are important because they are a part of the team, but the subs play into a role between the rounds in the series. So that means that if your team wins, then you have an option of moving your team around. Let's say you got one guy who's got to go to lunch or something. Don't go to lunch during this. Make sure you're there. But he's got to go to lunch. So you take a sub and you're like, okay, sub, you're going to come in here. You better represent. And then you're good. But that's the only time that subs actually matter. They matter the whole time. Morale, support, and coaching. Live coaching. It works, guys. Now, deck rules. For the qualifiers, open deck format. Anything goes, anytime. So use that to your advantage. Adapt to your opponents. In the Royale 16, it's a little bit different. First of all, Team A is going to pick a player. Then Team B is going to pick a player. Now, who is Team A and who is Team B? It depends on the seed of the tournament or a coin toss. So that can depend. Then Team A is going to draft a card. Let's say they draft the Expo. That means that their player has to have the Expo in their deck, and their opponent's player cannot have the Expo in their deck. Once Team A is done drafting, then Team B is actually going to draft and do the same exact thing. Then Team A is going to ban a card. Once they ban a card, neither player can have that card in their deck. After Team A bans a card, then Team B is going to ban a card. Now, these drafts and bans are only for this player versus player match. Afterwards, you still have 2 players left on each team. When that comes down to it, the order alternates each match. So Team A all of a sudden becomes Team B, and so on and so forth until everything's over, until you've either won 3 times or you've gone 5 rounds and finally someone's a victor. Very intense. After they've selected those drafts and those bans, then they can change the rest of their deck according to what they think their opponent's going to do and what they need to do in order to make their deck actually work with those drafts and those bans. Now let's talk about how you can get into the Clan Royale League. It's a blast to even just play, so you want to make sure that you know these so that you can get in here. Now, there's 2 different ways. You can either do it by joining the Clash Royale or the Clan Royale Discord server, or by following them on Twitter. Either way, you're going to want to get onto the Discord server because it's a requirement. But if you're more of a Twitter guy, you can jump on Twitter and follow them. Next thing you want to do is make sure, and that's where you follow, and that's their Discord link to be able to join. Look for the announcement, or look for their tweet, and as soon as that announcement is out there, fill out the Google form. Be quick. Only 16 or 64 teams are able to participate in each qualifier. So make sure you're there. I highly recommend having your team ready to go. You know the times. Have your team ready to go so as soon as that form is out, you can fill it out and you're in. So who can join? Well, actually, there's no limit to the number of teams that any organization can put in there. In this last week, the Kairos Kingdom put 3 teams in there, and I think Nova Esports is like up to 6 or 7. So no limit to the number of teams that can come. Each team has to have 3 starting players and can have 2 subs. I highly recommend at least having those 2 subs in there because you never know what's going to happen. Those 3 starting key players, those are your key guys though. Now each player can only compete on 1 team per week, but they can switch from week to week in the qualifiers based upon all sorts of different things. Let's say you got a guy that's really good and he's like, my team sucks, I want to join the Kairos Kingdom. Right? Then he can totally do that. Now, qualifier rosters are actually very flexible. If you fill out your roster, find out one of your guys can't do it, all you need to do is go back to the form that you filled out and update it. And if the form is actually closed, then you need to message Sui Generis on the Discord server and let him know that you're updating your roster. Make sure you do that before it starts. Once it starts, you're set. So you've got to make sure you do that in time. Now, Royale 16 players are locked to their team for the season. They have to be on their team. Very important. They can't be switching from team to team for the entire season. But the roster of a winning team of the Royale 16 team is locked. They cannot change anybody. Whereas if you're on the Royale 16, before you win, you can sub in some people, you can add some people to your roster in between matches and things like that. But once you play, you can't play for another team. Details, right? Come on, guys, let's move on. Okay, once you're in, you're going to get, your team captain is going to get notified via email. And make sure that that team captain goes into the Discord and lets one of the marshals or somebody know that they're a captain for a specific team so that you can get sorted into the correct department and they'll get you all taken care of. In that email, there will be some rules and things like that, but also will be the bracket. Now the bracket's going to look, this is just a part of the bracket, but this kind of explains it. They have multiple clans that each team needs to be able to join in order to participate. For example, let's say I was Adult Esports, I would need to join CRL Royale League 4 and in order to compete against my players and things like that. As I move on, I jump into different clan or CRL Royale League clans and so forth until I'm in the top one, and then the Kairos Kingdom wins. Now, there in the email there will be a password that you need to include in the request in order for you to get into the clan. So make sure that you and all of your team players do that. Don't get disqualified. Let's talk about all the ways that you can avoid getting disqualified. Don't be late. For the qualifiers, you have to be there at least 5 minutes late, so make sure your team is ready and knows all the rules well beforehand. Get in that clan 5 minutes early. The Royale 16 teams have to be there 10 minutes before to finalize drafts and bans and things like that. It's totally fine for the Royale 16 to have the drafts and bans sorted out beforehand in Discord or Facebook or sending those stone tablet messages. But be there early or you will be disqualified. Only team captains who will be given the role as elder should talk. This is very important. They have 64 teams filled with 5 people throughout the entire thing, and the Clash Royale chat system is not it's not very organized. It could be better. So because of that, they have to limit it to only elders. Don't let anyone else talk or send messages in there, or you might be disqualified. The one exception is that the player up next in the match may message, like, hey, good luck, or good game, things like that, but keep it to a minimum. You don't want to be disqualified simply because one of you guys is chatty. Now follow the directions of the marshals. They will be listed as co-leader or leader in the clan that you will be participating in. Make sure you follow their directions. If you don't, then there's a good chance that you'll be disqualified. Also, do not delay any ban or drafts or any match start times by 7 minutes. If you do, 7 minutes is that cutoff mark. As soon as that 7 minutes hits, they got to move on. They got a show to put on. So make sure that you're doing that or you will be disqualified. Thank you so much for watching this. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in a comment section below. The best people to talk to would be all of the marshals and people in charge on the Clan Royale Discord server, so make sure you get on there. Like, subscribe, share this video, especially to those that are interested in joining in. Support the CRL, watch the CRL live, follow the CRL. It's going to be a blast. Tons of high quality competition, and if you need a team, make sure that you check out the Kairos Kingdom. All the links to all of that information right there is in the description of this video, so make sure you go check that out. And hey guys, seriously, good luck. For now, this is Kairos Time ticking by, and I hope to see you in the arena.